Are you ready?
Starting now?
Well, now you just messed it up, you knob. God, you know that the shit that we go through for this, huh?
I know. Fuckers better appreciate it. When we started, we were just like, yeah, we're just going to do this, man. You know, shoot our wad into the wind and see what happens. What's the title of this podcast again?
I don't know. I don't know. Something with a penis, I guess.
Right.
Our fucking faces are everywhere now.
Right.
You know, but
You're welcome, ladies.
Right. Popular with the ladies.
Right.
Oh, I'm not even going to apologize because hopefully it sounds fucking hilarious.
Yeah, totally. This is fucking explicit now.
The explicit button. Let me use my finger.
La, 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 la.
It is time for another episode of Sober, Not Mature. And that episode starts now.
All right, y'all. Welcome. Welcome to now season 2 of Sober, Not Mature. And you heard a little laugh in the background. We'll introduce her in a second. But today's kind of a big day, man. We're doing, obviously, season 2, we decided to make the split. And this is the start of our second season. Really, nothing's going to change, right, Mike? I mean, all
Not
we're
a
going to
damn
do
thing.
all we're going to do is start having, I'm going to say real people on, in quotes, because we had a couple of family members on. But also today is our the 6-month anniversary of our podcast, of our first episode.
Woohoo.
So, yes, we are now 6 months old. So, yeah, it's a big day. Plus, once again, we got the woohoo in the background. If we don't get a yeehaw out of you before the end of this, Daphne, I'm gonna be disappointed. So, well, let's. We got a chance to talk for just a couple of minutes. Daphne, you and I have chatted back and forth on Instagram, but you just got a chance to meet Mike. So, Mike, this is Daphne. Daphne, this is Mike.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
It is my pleasure, Mike.
Wow, you guys sound so nice and professional there. We'll get into your real personalities here in a minute. But first of all, Daphne, thank you very much for obviously agreeing to come on and being our first again quote unquote real guest on here. We appreciate it. And I've been telling Mike about you, and obviously he sees a little bit on the posts and things like that. One of the reasons that I connected with you, obviously to begin with, is just, based on some of the posts you had and the stories you had, and I think you got a lot to offer, to the sober community. So this hour is yours. We'll interrupt you, I'm sure. We'll ask questions.
Absolutely.
That's cool.
We're gonna ask questions, but this is up to you. You can talk about whatever you want. You can talk about, your hair. You can talk about sobriety. We don't care. Whatever you want. This is your time. So at least introduce yourself. Tell us what you want. Maybe a little bit of background, and we'll go from there. Okay.
All right. Well, yeah, you've already seen my hair this morning, so we don't need to talk about that. And congratulations on 6 months. That is awesome.
Thank you.
You are so welcome. And I feel like I'm so privileged to be like your first real person, and being called real, that's with nothing behind it. That's good. Not like a real bitch or a real drunk. So I'm really grateful for that. But so thank you guys for giving me, the chance today to participate in my own sobriety and recovery.
Cool. You're welcome.
So much appreciated.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah. So
yeah, absolutely.
I don't know, God, where to begin. Oh, Jesus. This is not somewhere that I ever expected to find myself. Probably y'all neither. But, God, growing up, I guess I can start at the beginning. Okay, at the beginning, I was probably like 4 or 5, and I would drink my grandfather's little pony beers. You remember the little Miller ponies?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yep, absolutely.
That's where it all started. God rest his soul. I can't blame it on him because he's no longer with us. But that was like the first taste that I ever got, and it was kind of like a sip here and there, hiding it from my grandmother. And but that was the first, and then that was it, and it was just fun, and I don't remember a lot, and I will tell y'all right now, most of my memories are what my husband has told me, because my long-term memory is so bad. I never had a great memory to begin with. And that through those years of active addiction, it really tarnished me bad. My short term, y'all ask me anything between today and the last week, and I got it. But anything other than that, I just can't help you much. So,
well, wait, I'm gonna stop you there. So I had told Mike this story that you were in the grocery store a couple of weeks ago listening to us, right? And then and your short-term memory failed you that day.
Oh my God! Yes, it did. We had chili the next day with no freaking crackers, and it was y'all's fault. But like, I seriously, like, when I talk on the phone in the store, I learned this with your podcast. Like, I can't do it. Like, I cannot focus. I go in circles. Like, I probably walked 3 miles in the grocery store and got like 10 items. Like, it was not good. But it was good, but it was not good for my shopping adventure. But yes, I try to, and I'm never alone. Like, my husband's always with me, and it's hard to listen because he hears me talking about this all the time. And so when I'm like on the treadmill or something, I try to listen. But that day at the grocery store, I was like, this is a perfect opportunity. But I learned real quickly that it was not good. So, but I enjoyed it. I learned a lot. So, yeah, so where was I? Okay, so yeah, see, maybe my short-term memory ain't that great either. So, I lived, so like I said, I would drink with my grandfather, not drink with him, but like sneak sips. And I lived with them. My mom had me when she was 16. I was born 7 days before her 17th birthday. And so,
wow.
Yeah, so, when I talk about them, I lived with them. My mom and I lived with them for many years, but she got married, and she was married for probably about 3 months, I believe, 3 months after I was born. And my father, he is no longer alive, my biological father. I will not ever refer to him as my dad because he left when I was like 3 months old, and I never saw him. He was never part of my life. However, he was an addict and alcoholic. So, yeah. So, it's just kind of, it comes back to, well, is it hereditary? Was it something learned? If I had to choose one of those two, I definitely got it from him. It was nothing that I ever laid eyes on because my mother, the only time I've ever seen her drink was when I was trying to push it on her. Like, hey, just have a glass of wine. Like, so it didn't make me look so bad.
Drink with me.
Right. Please. Yes. She did it like 2 or 3 times. So it was not something that I grew up around. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So, I guess I drank a little in high school, just normal, like on the weekends. I say normal as in like a normal person. And, and dabbled in, a few drugs, but nothing to the extent that I had to have it every single day. It was just something that I did on the weekends. And, I never spent money on drugs. Like if someone had it, I would partake in it, but it was just, it wasn't my thing. I don't really know what my thing was, but that was not it at that time. So, fast forward in college, so I'm still normal at this time. And, I use that term very, very loosely.
Right, there was air quotes in there, air quotes.
Yes, there was. Yes, you can see me in my videos off, but I seriously probably just did that. But, so in college, it got a little worse, and, the normal college thing. And then all of a sudden, I found out I was pregnant. And things kind of went a little in reverse order for me. And so I had just gotten engaged and kind of planning a wedding for the next year. And then a few months later, things kind of sped up. And so it was fine. I was already engaged. We were going to get married. And, things just were sped up just a little bit quicker. So the day that I found out that I was pregnant, I quit drinking. I quit smoking. And this sounds so crazy. And I quit cussing. I was like, I know, like the baby's going to hear me. I swear as God as my witness. My son was probably, I believe he was 17 years old when I finally got my voice back. And my husband, that was not a good day. But I did, and I haven't lost it since. But, I used to drink like a sailor, and unfortunately, I still talk like one. And I'm going to try to be ladylike, but it's hard. It's so hard.
No, don't. No.
Nah,
You don't. Please.
No need.
Let me tell y'all.
You're gonna. You'll fit in quite well. You've listened to plenty of episodes. You can say whatever you want, and you know what? We and everyone else. If everyone else doesn't consider you a lady for that, well, fuck them then.
Exactly.
Well, I agree. Fuck them. Okay, so with that said, so for those 9 months, like I said, prior to that, I was smoking weed all the time and drinking. That was it. But I was not. It was a night thing, I think if you're doing it at night, then that's okay. You don't have a problem because it's only at night until it's for breakfast. But anyway, we'll get to that later. So I have my son. Fast forward a few years, and I would say he's probably in kindergarten. And this is when it started. Now, today, he is 28 years old. So this is how far it goes back. So we're talking like 22 years. My husband, he has been a catastrophic insurance adjuster. So he would always travel wherever the storms were. He would have to travel. Well, my son had just started school, and so I was staying at home with him, and my daughter was 2 at the time. And I was just having a hard time sleeping. And he had told me, it's probably because I have 2 children, and, at this time I'm only like 25 years old with 2 little kids. And he tells me, well, maybe I always got to say he, because I got to blame somebody. He started it. So
of course.
He was like, God love him. He's put up with so much shit. I feel so sorry for him. But anyway, so he's like, maybe if you have a glass of wine, it might help you sleep. And wine was not my thing. Like, I had always drank beer, but I really didn't have a thing. It was just whatever got me drunk is what I drank. And so I was like, okay, I'll try some wine. And I mean, I don't know how it really progressed. It took probably about 3 years, but that I can just see it now, going to Sam's Club and getting Behringer White Zinfandel. I thought I was this high sophisticated wine drinker. And, oh my God, that stuff just makes me want to vomit thinking about it. And so, that went on until, it was like 2 classes. I was like, oh, okay, maybe I can sleep. And then, and it could have been psychological. I don't know. Maybe I was just tired, but I thought that it worked. And I didn't have to worry about him being on the road and worrying about being this young mom with these 2 little kids. So over time, that Behringer, 2 glasses a night, kind of got into probably like 2 bottles a night. And then I upgraded my palate to the crema, which ended up being today it sells for probably like $25 a bottle. And so I would kind of try to take it slow on that. And I would drink it first, and then I would switch over to the nasty stuff. And so that went on for probably, oh my gosh, a few more years. Well, at this time, we moved, I don't know, with his work, we were kind of here and there. And I started homeschooling my children. That's where it was. So I could, so we could travel with him. So I pulled my kids out of school. My daughter was not even old. She was just now at this time starting kindergarten. Well, when I pulled the kids out of school and was with him again, I didn't need that. We were together, and I slept better, and I didn't worry about him. And that was good. So again, I was able to just put it down, go on about my business. I would say it probably was, my son was probably about 9. I could always gauge my drinking on where he was in life. And so I know I got to have something to look back at, like this timetable. So we build a house. We're traveling, and we buy this lot down in on this island in Alabama. It's called Ono Island. So we build a house there. My husband's still traveling. My kids are still homeschooling. I'm there with them. Well, I meet all these people. We're living at the beach, and it's kind of like, what do you do? What do you do at the beach if you don't work? And I homeschooled my kids. And at this time, I was good, I didn't have a problem. It was the weekends then we got to the weekends, like all day on the weekends. We're out on the boat, we're out at the pool, we're on the beach. And then my daughter decides she wants to go to school because she's a little social like her mom. God bless her heart. She is an alcoholic addict. Like, that apple did not fall far from the tree. And so she goes back to school. So now it's just me and my son. My husband's traveling. And I get to where it's coming into lunch, So now we're eating lunch with friends, and a lot of these women didn't work. And so this is what we did. And over time, and again, it's just one of those things we don't know when it's too much, like when we have crossed over and we cannot stop. And I'm still thinking, and at this time, I'm probably like I'm telling you guys, I'm going on the best that I can on this memory. Maybe 3 days a week, but every night. But then, I can see it creeping into lunch. So fast forward, I'm still maintaining it. I'm not really blacking out. I black out a few times over that. Well, when my son enters high school, he never went to school. He went straight into high school. I was like, you know what, dude, you're taking shit that I never even took in high school. Like, I didn't even really go to high school. I graduated, but I was not there very often. And it's like, he's needing to know stuff that I never even took algebra. And so he's getting into all this stuff, and I'm like, I don't know. I think you got to go to school. And so I didn't want him to grow up to be this big dumbass. And so I put him in school. So now both of my kids are in school. And now I have all this time on my hands. And again, I start this running group for St. Jude. So I start running. And we really do fundraisers. So I start this group, and I'm living in Alabama at the time. And the best name for the running group was the Bama Whiners. And so I know. And so let me tell you something. I had no idea when I made up this name. Now I just left the beach and moved like 45 minutes away to another small town. And in this small town is where I got into this running group, or a running club, and then I created my own group for St. Jude. And so we would go to St. Jude every December, but for like 5 months out of the year, I would do a fundraiser. And so I would get all these people on my team, and so they were my little Bama Whiners. Well, what I didn't realize was when I created that, I was creating a monster that I just had already been there, but was like waiting to come out. So everywhere we would go in this town, people knew us. And that's when I was on Facebook, and, I had a Facebook page for the Bama Whiners, and we would go into the little restaurants, and it's like, oh, the Bama Whiners are here, and it'd be half price wine, or it'd be free wine, and I was like, I felt like I'm the captain of this shit. Like, I've got to show them what's up. So, oh my God, y'all, I'm like, my hands are sweating talking about this. So, we would have to plan our fundraisers, and we would have to plan our long runs together because it was half marathons. So all this planning, would start at lunchtime. And like, seriously, people that run and do this kind of stuff, unless they have a drinking problem, you don't have meetings and plan this shit. Like, you just get out there and do it. And I'm having like huggers made, Turkish tumblers made, with the Bama Whiners logo. I had logos. I mean, I went all out on this. Like, this was my thing. And so, and I loved when we would go places and people knew us. I mean, it was a small town, but they knew that name. And it was like, it became who I was. And I didn't realize it at the time how bad that really was. So me and my girlfriends, we would meet. We would go to lunch and talk about our, upcoming races and this, that, and the other, and our trips. And like, we would do destination races, which basically was about 3, 4, 5 day trip. And the worst part about it was the hangovers and having to run 13 miles. Everything else was fun. Yes.
Right.
It was.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons that I don't run now, because I think I'm too old to do it. But when I was drinking, I think I would have died.
Oh my God. Let me tell y'all something. I ran 19 half marathons. I only ran one of them before I really started drinking, and I was sober for one. And the other 18, I would always drink the night before. During the races, all 5Ks, 10Ks, whatever, I would have like a Corona Light, and I would put Gatorade in it. So people would think I was drinking Gatorade, but it would have beer in it. and that's how I would get through. And that sounds crazy. And now let me tell you, I wasn't
Not to us.
I wasn't breaking any records by any means, but I never started one that I didn't finish. I was like, as long as I can get across that finish line, that is all that matters. And I
Right.
completed every one of them. They were not pretty, but I finished. So I got that, I'm like, woo, I finished. But that's neither here nor there. So anyway,
Right.
going back
So
to
basically, so you, and I can relate to this completely. So you created a scenario and a lifestyle for yourself that people around you expected you to drink.
exactly. And let me tell you something. I never want to let anybody down. And so
Exactly. Yeah, here comes Mike. Let's get him a drink because that's the way things are supposed to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's same. Yes, I love the music, but that was a big part of why I was in rock and roll.
Right.
So they expected me to do that.
Thank God I couldn't play a musical instrument because I'd be on tour right now. It would not. I'd be dead. My husband calls me his a retired rock star. He's like, you party just like the rock stars. After so many years, they have to retire, and this is probably why. And so he's like, he tells me my tour is over, but so I am no longer on tour. So anyway,
So real quick question though. At this time that you're at that point, you're doing the marathons, you got the group, the whole thing. On the surface, do you still? I mean, looking back now, do you still feel like you? I don't know, that you kind of fit in? Was everyone at that point doing the things that you, with the exception of Corona in your Gatorade bottle, but on the surface, do you think that you were fitting in or blending?
Oh no, I was outstanding. I was on top of them. Like I learned very early on they could not hang with me. And I say that not proudly because I'm not proud of that, but what I learned was at first we were kind of all the same, but when those lunches would end and they would go like to pick their kids up from school and do things that you're actually supposed to do, I did not leave. I would stay and I would finish. I would drink some more and then I would go home and I would drink again and then I would keep drinking. Those people, there was about 2 of them that were almost up to like really close and running to me, but they had small children, so they kind of knew when to, when enough was enough. But now my kids are in high school, and I'm like, I don't have anything holding me back. I don't have any responsibility. And plus, when they both drive, they're not at home. And so taming it down was hard when my husband would come home from traveling. So. Anyway, fast forward. Oh my God, those races about killed me. And on top of my body, like today, I have a really bad hip. I have not been able to run. Like I'm doing good to walk, and like I've had some really some bad problems. But anyway, I guess after once I went to treatment, those running days, and I no longer was able to do anything with St. Jude just because of that association that I had with it. Like I still donate that stuff. I don't do the fundraisers.
Sure.
Because like one fundraiser was at a brewery, it was called Bugs and Brews, and like I had crawfish, and we raised like $9,000, and it was great. But it all centered around that, and today I can't do that. Like I am not putting myself in those situations. But okay, so anyway, look, I'm like a cat chasing its tail. Let me circle back around. So anyway, let's see. So I would say my son goes off to college. Okay, this is when. Okay, let me go back. He's a senior in high school, and he's getting ready to graduate. I remember we all went out right before his graduation, a few months probably prior to graduation. I went out with some friends, the husbands and from my running group, and the next morning, this is when I should have really known there was a problem. So at this time, he's like 18 years old. So this goes back, 10 years ago. I wake up, and I was so hungover, and I went into the kitchen, the laundry room rather, to do laundry. Well, when I went in there, I was feeling so bad, and I was like, I wonder if I just have something to drink, what I'll feel like, if I could feel better. So at this time, y'all know where I'm going. And so it was not good. It was good, but it wasn't good. So we kept all of the alcohol. I never kept alcohol in the house because I did not want it in my kids in their face if they opened up the refrigerator. I did not want them to see any alcohol. So we had an outside refrigerator, and I kept all my wines and hit all the beer and whatever out there. So it just happened to be in the garage, which was right next to the laundry room. So I ran out there, grabbed a beer, ran back in the laundry room while everybody was asleep, and I shut the door. And while I was, had everything going, making noise in there, I chugged one of those ice cold Coronas, and I was like, that was good. Let me get one more.
That worked.
Hey, let me tell you, the magic number was 2, and I was good. And I was like, shit, okay, I can, now I don't have to, hide drinking at lunch. I've already got something in me. That right there, that day, I swear to God, I can remember, I can see myself in that laundry room. And that was the day that I started drinking in the morning. And so I could do it before everyone woke up. No one knew. I could act kind of normal. And then at lunchtime, they were kind of, my husband at this time, if there was not a catastrophic event going on, he was at home. So it was either I was balls to the wall, or either I was under, his eyes the whole time. And so that pisses you off when you have to, when you can't do it. I'm like, God darn, ain't there a fucking hurricane somewhere? God darn. So, shit, something catastrophic needs to be happening in the world somewhere.
Right.
But anyway.
Mike, you brought that up when we were talking to Kathy. You said that, the problem is you goddamn people are getting in the way of our drinking.
Yes, exactly.
And that's not fun.
No, and that's the thing. It's the old joke that I heard years ago is the only way to never get a hangover is to either never drink or never stop.
Never stop.
Right.
Because once we, and I say we collectively, find out that morning drink evens some shit out. I mean, it's that's a turning point for damn sure.
Man, I was like, well, shit. I wish I'd known this a long time ago. But I'm glad that I didn't, because God knows I probably would. I'm sure I can speak for all of us. We should not be on this phone call right now. We should be, 6 feet under, many times, many times. But so that's when I start drinking in the morning, and I'm like, oh shit, this is not good. I can't let my friends see this; they're gonna think I'm crazy. Because at this point, the having the lunches. They are 2 or 3, and then they're gone. And I'm like, whatever, because I'm staying. Until my eyes are crossed, I'm not leaving. And so I knew, and I started kind of pulling it back from a lot of my friends, because I didn't want them to know what I was becoming, because I did not want to acknowledge what I was becoming. But we all, especially when you're drinking a beer when you open your eyes, you're in trouble. So I guess so. My son goes away to college. So let me tell y'all, he's away at college. My daughter's her senior year. She's never home, and she's starting to get into drugs. And my husband's still traveling. And we would go with him when we were able, in the summers, and if she was out of school or whatnot. But for the most part, I was like a child that was left unattended. And it's really, really scary. And I mean, it again, my palms are freaking sweating talking about this, because it's I just can't believe that I ever really got to that point. But so 2 years goes by after my son finishes. He was at Alabama. So, I mean, it was he'd come home for the weekends, and he's got a 5-hour drive. And of course, that would make me drink more, worried about him being on the roads, can't get him on the phone. I mean, you name it. My husband traveling, can't get him on the phone. I'm like, oh my God, who's he with? What's he doing? Where's he dead? Is he dead? Who is she? Let me go fucking kill her. What's going on? And, I'll never forget one day he was like, can I take a fucking shower? And I was like, oh, okay. I just took 5 shots of vodka for no reason. He's in the shower. My mind would go to these places, and I really can take that back to my childhood, because what I was talking about, my biological father, he left. Like I said, my mom caught him cheating on her, in their apartment while she was having him a birthday party, and she went into the back to change my diaper, and boom, and that was the end of that. And
damn,
right. And then my mom remarried when I was in 1st grade, and he adopted me, so that's who I call my father. And unfortunately, he had those same issues. And that's kind of really all I ever was exposed to. And so
Sure.
it was very, very difficult for me to trust somebody. And I remember I had only been married a few months, and we went to a counselor. We've only been once, and it was only that one day. And he told us everything we needed to know that day. He told my husband, he said, you are paying for what, you're paying for a mistake that you didn't make. You are you're paying for what those men in her life did to her. And I'll never forget that. And I was like, well, holy shit. Okay, thank you. We're done. We're done. But
that's as deep as I'm going right now. Right.
Exactly. I'm like, well, that all makes a lot of sense. And I never realized it. But let me tell you something. Even though I knew that, it took me like 20-something years to finally understand it. And I feel so sorry for my husband, because let me tell y'all something. He's a saint. I mean, he is a freaking saint. And he has never one time in our life, I met him when I was 15 years old. I'm 49 today. Never one time in my life done anything for me to think that. But that is that's just what I knew. And so, anyway, so of course I would drink over that too. We're going to drink over anything. But those things really contributed, I think, early on, because I was always so terrified of that. Like, they did this to my mother. Why am I any better than her? Like, my mom's a great woman. I'm like this. I thought I was this big piece of shit. And I'm like, I don't compare to her. Like, why wouldn't someone do that? I didn't feel worthy. So, okay, fast forward. Hurricane Harvey, which was exactly 4 years ago. I think it was yesterday or the day before. If anything great came out of Hurricane Harvey, it was me getting sober, because my husband had to come out to Texas. I was still living in Alabama. In the week that Hurricane Harvey hit, my husband left for Texas. My daughter went into rehab, and then my son moved to Colorado. And I'm sorry, it was in like a 2-week period. So I'm like, I'm lost at this point. Like, oh my God, like what in the hell am I going to do? So I'm worried about my son. I'm worried about my daughter. And then my husband's here. And so I shut down. I just totally, I shut down. I quit my job. I got a funny story about my job. But I liked it because I could drink. But anyway, God forbid any of my friends hear this that I worked with. Sorry, they already kind of knew. But I mean, they actually did.
They knew.
They knew. You know what they did know, because they served it to me. But anyway, we'll come back to that. But I'd like, that was like, I could go to work and I could get my drinks in, and then I'd come home and I really would shut down. Like, I would turn my phone off. I quit going to my running group. I was still running at the time, and I just knew something had to change before I killed somebody or I killed myself. And my daughter, she blows that prop stand in treatment. She can't do it. She's there for like 14 days, and so right, and so no refunds. And so I'm like, son of a bitch, do you know what I could have done with all that cash? But anyway, so she comes home. So now you got me and her under the same roof with absolutely no adult supervision. And like, she was doing her thing, I was doing my thing, and I was going to work. I hated going to work because, I mean, granted I could drink at work, but it wasn't really. It
still slowed you down.
It did. And
yeah, that work thing.
Well, and listen, it was a high-end interior decorating store. So you kind of had to get people, I would have to serve them alcohol to make them want to buy a $6,000 couch. At the same time, I didn't let them drink alone. So that's kind of where that went.
Right.
But, yeah. So fast forward into my daughter's home, and she's still not doing well. And I'm sure as hell not doing well. My husband was like, you know what, I think I need y'all, the best thing for y'all to do, we'll get rid of the house and y'all come to Texas. I'll find a house out here and let's just get a fresh start. Hey, everywhere I go, there I am. And so,
right. Yeah, those geographic cures always work.
Man, let me tell you. I mean, it did until it didn't. But
right.
At least we got, hey, the people, places, and things. I got rid of the people. Granted, I was the worst one of them, but whatever. I didn't have those. I didn't have the drinking buddies when I got here, so I was like, okay, so now I'll just drink at home. But let me tell y'all, like any smart alcoholic, I got on Facebook and I found a group of women. Like, it was a group out of Houston, like a girls' night out group before I got here. And so I was like, ooh, they look like a lot of fun. And so let me tell you, we load up, we get rid of the house, we get in the U-Haul, we come out to this house. My husband had found us a house. We come to the house. Well, that week I go and meet these girls for lunch, and I'm like, okay, let me, go check them out, whatever. Well, one of them happened to own a gym. And so she's like, all my friends come for free. Come to my gym. I'm like, do I look like I work out? And she's like, it's we had fun. I was like, okay, I'll come. So, she said we have beer. And I was like, you serve beer? And she's like, yeah, we have fun at my gym. I was like, well, that sounds like my kind of gym. And let me tell y'all, these people that I met that day for lunch, they did lunches like me. And I was like, holy shit, I love it here. Like, I have found my people. And so they, like, I don't think anybody ate. Everybody drank. And I was like, okay. So fast forward, I joined your gym. They have a huge cooler. I got the picture to save. I got to put it on Instagram soon. And it shows the clear, the fridges that you can see inside of. Right. One side is 3 shelves of different types of beer, and the left side is nothing but waters. And there's a big sign that says water's like $1 or $2, and beers are free because they didn't have a liquor license, right? And so I joined this gym, and the worst part about it was working out. And so let me see. I just lost my brain. Joined the gym, and so these people that I've met here, they're acquaintances. They're not my friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, to this day, nobody knows where I live. I've never met their spouses. Like, we didn't hang out. We just went to the gym, and then we would go straight to lunch and drink. So after being here, I got here in February. I made it all the way until Cinco de Mayo. And we went to celebrate Cinco de Mayo, of course. Every occasion you got is an excuse to go out and drink.
Absolutely.
Right. And even a random Wednesday.
Well, exactly. But this is, I can't drag my husband out on a Wednesday, but I could get his ass there on Cinco de Mayo because we're big Mexican lovers. So I'm like, Cinco de Mayo, we gotta go. So let me just tell y'all, 2 days later, I was still celebrating Cinco de Mayo. And which, of course, we celebrate every day, but I say celebrating it because I was still drinking the tequila. And I had this, I gotta go back. So, like, talk about, like, squirrel, cat chasing its tail. Here we go. So, we, shit. Okay, I lost train of thought again. Hold on. Where was I? Oh, yeah. So, we go, no, I did it again. Like, seriously. Where was I? What'd I say?
You're talking about
You were at the 7th of May, but then you went back.
Yeah, you were doing Cinco, Siete de Mayo.
Hey, and can y'all believe my husband's sober and lives with this shit? He's oh my God. Okay, so, Cinco de Mayo, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. So back at the gym, I decided I needed a personal trainer. So I got on a personal trainer, and let me tell y'all, so I would go to him, and I would be hungover or either drinking on the way there, but I would go real early so that I would be less intoxicated. Well, he got this lady, and she did like my meal planning. So this is where I was going when I got my DUI. So she is like, every week I would send her pictures of like in a bra and panties, whatever. And so she'd be like, okay, Daphne, if you only have 1 glass of wine a night and you're eating everything I'm sending you, blah, 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 like, we got to change it up this week. So every week she was having to change up my meal plan because that crazy bitch didn't know I was drinking like God knows how much every single day. But I lied.
Right.
But I was like, oh yeah, maybe 1 glass of red wine. I don't drink red wine. And so anyway, and I don't drink 1 glass. And so, so I was still doing this meal prep, right? And so we would say 6 ounces of chicken, 10 times a day, whatever. I would eat like half of 3 ounces of chicken, and I would only eat, if I was supposed to eat 5 meals, I would only eat like 2. And just enough to keep me going, just right. Enough. And so, but I was getting my calories in. But so she couldn't understand. God love her. If she ever listens to this, she'll know why her plan didn't work. But actually, I'm not friends with any of those people anymore, or they're not my friends because I'm sober. And that what they say, get sober and find out who your friends are. But that's okay because they were just acquaintances. They were not my friends. So anyway, fast forward. I'm still meal prepping, and it's 2 days after Cinco de Mayo. And it's on a weekend, I believe. I don't know. I know a football game was on someday. And my husband was watching it. And so I'm doing all my chicken, and it's super sunny. So I got on my bathing suit, and I'm laying out, and I come in and do some more meal prepping, and I go back out. While the whole time, this Texas heat's probably like 105, and I am drinking straight tequila, because those were my margaritas. And it's tequila with some lime. And so I ran out of chicken. And I was like, well, shit. I don't even know why. Like, one chicken breast would have lasted me a whole week. But for whatever reason, I felt the need that I needed to go buy more chicken. Well, I come in, and my husband's asleep on the couch. He had been watching football, and he fell asleep. I was like, well, I'm like around the corner from Costco. Like, guys, I'm seriously, like, no shit. When I tell you I'm 2 miles there, almost round trip, like, straight shot. So I didn't wake him up. I was like, I'll be back before he wakes up. So as I'm walking out the back door, I chug that tequila, and I sit the glass right by the back door, and I threw on a cover up, and which I look like a stripper. And so, and listen, and let me tell y'all something. Hey, look, teach that to thine own self be true. If it would have worked out for me, I might would have done it, but I never tried it, so I don't know. But I'm gonna go with it. Probably would not have, but I don't have anything against them, so that's not.
Okay, wait a second. Pause there real quick, Mike. Remember that when you're thinking about the title of the episode, stripper was mentioned. Just so you know, Daphne, he's in charge of the episode title, so you might just came up with something for our episode title.
Okay, so let me rephrase that. So then I looked like a little schoolgirl, and I was on my way to church. Because I had choir practice, and so apparently I was feeling good about my body, because I'm not. I'm a big prude. Like, I'm not that kind of person. So I knew I was very intoxicated when I went to trial and I saw the video. I was like, holy shit! But anyway, so I straight up looked like. It didn't look good. I thought I did, apparently, but I didn't know anybody here, so I didn't really, I didn't care. So I'm like, I'm going in to buy chicken. I'm going straight back outside into the sun. And so I threw on this cover up, and and it's like, found out it was see-through. So anyway, I got to Costco. I saw that in the video at trial too, and yes, it did go to trial, but that's another long story. So anyway, I go grab my chicken, throw it in my trunk, and so let me preface this by saying, it is the weekend. I do remember that now. It was the weekend, and I had just gotten a brand new sports car the day before Cinco de Mayo. So therefore, it did not have plates on it yet. So, I got all these things that are not working in my favor at this point. So, I throw my chicken in my trunk, and I hop my little ass in my car. I pop the sunroof, roll down my windows, and I'm trying to get out of Costco. Well, getting out of Costco, you got 5 lanes. I have 5 lanes to get over really fast to make a U-turn to get back to my neighborhood. And I've got pictures of this, because after this, I went and sat and took pictures and videos of people doing the exact same thing I did. But it didn't really help my case, because they could have been drunk or sober. I always did it when I was sober. And like a few months ago, I found a way to get out of the back of Costco straight into my neighborhood. I was like, well, son of a bitch. I never, ever, ever, ever knew that was possible, but whatever. Anyway, it all happened for a reason, and I'm grateful for it. But, so, I'm trying to get over, and apparently a cop didn't like the way that I was obstructing 2 of the lanes, because I was not going straight. I was kind of at an angle, and he lit me up. So, fast forward, I get pulled over, and apparently I had a little bit more drink than I thought I did, and I didn't realize it until I saw the video once again at trial, and I was mortified. And I'm just talking about that I'm a wino. I'm like, holy shit, well, I'm fucked now. Like, they ain't no going back. Like, that's what I'm telling him on the video. And then I go on to say, the first thing, have you been drinking? Like, okay, y'all, I'm 4'11". This guy might have been 5'2". Like, he's probably the shortest cop that was ever created. And he's having to lean over into my car because it's low to the ground. So I'm like, I'm fucked. So he starts, have you been drinking? Well, of course, I don't lie. I learned this the hard way. I probably should have, but I didn't. And so I was like, yeah, I've had some tequila, blah, blah. But I drank it like right as I was walking out the door. That's why it's so fresh in my breath. Well, ma'am, I'm going to need you to get out. Oh, so now, y'all, I'm out on the, like, next to busiest intersection in Houston, and it's a Saturday afternoon. This is not good. And so here I am in a bright fluorescent Gucci Mama cover up on the side of the road, and I am having to do this field sobriety test. And then he's like, "I need you to stand on one leg." I'm like, "Dude, I've been a runner, and I have got a very bad hip." Like, I had an excuse for everything. They were legitimate. Hey, but they were legitimate. But it really, but it was the truth. But it still wouldn't have mattered, because like today, I couldn't stand up on it if I had to. So I was just kind of letting them know, just in case I fail, this is why. And so anyway, let's just say I ended up in the back of a cop car. And so thank God they called my husband and let him come get my car. And I was, after I made the U-turn, I was one entrance in from my neighborhood. I'm like, y'all don't understand. I could walk home in like 2 minutes. And I was like, "Hey, about follow me home." And I didn't know I said that either until I watched the video. And they were like, I was like, "Can you just follow me home?" And they were like, "No." And I was like, "Well, can you drive me home?" And they were like, "No." And I was like, "God." And I was like, "But you don't understand, y'all. I could wake up and I could blow and I would be over the limit." But hearing those words, for me to say that on video, it was so real. But I was sober when I finally saw it, thank God. But anyway, so fast forward, I go to jail for 12 hours, and I got about a 500-pound black girlfriend, which I was not into. It was the scariest time of my life. And she was trying to keep me warm. I was like, "Nope, I am quite all right." And I froze my ass off and didn't pee for 12 hours. I was like, "Okay, I'm not going back. This is not happening again." So anyway, I go home, and and in my mugshot picture, I look like I'm really fucked up, but I had cried my eyes out, because my worst fear was that phone call to my husband, because I know with my daughter at that point, by the time she was 21, she'd already had 2 DUIs, and she's been in so much trouble. And I know the disappointment in my husband and in me when that would happen. And I did not want to disappoint him. And that for me is what, that was what really did it for me. And so that was what just terrified me. I was like, I'm not worried about going to jail. I'm not worried about not being able to drive. I mean, I don't care. Like, none of that matters. That was where I was most disappointed. I was just disappointed in myself, and I'm just grateful. Right. I could have been that to me, and I will tell y'all, that was like the most sober. I mean, that was the most sober drunk I've ever driven. Like, I was sober compared to 99% of the times when I'd driven. Right. So I was really excited about that. I was like, shit, it could have been a whole lot worse. So anyway, he picks me up, and of course, the first thing he says is, "It's okay. You're going to be okay, and I got you." And that was all I needed to hear. Like, you don't need somebody jumping up your ass when that happens. But it was just, it should have happened 10 years ago. So anyway, because that was like in, the beginning of May. So fast forward for May, the rest of May, June, and July, I quit the gym. I didn't go anywhere, because I knew if I had to get in that car, I was going to get a DUI, because I was waking up at night drinking in the middle of the night, and I would drink in the morning. And I had been drinking in the morning for a couple of years at that point. And one morning, we had been out of town in Austin for my husband's something with work, and he had he was one of the people putting it on. And long story short, I'd sat out in the sun all day long doing what Daphne does, doing my thing while he worked. And we were supposed to go to dinner that night. And this was the end of the beginning for me. So up until that point, I hadn't been going anywhere. I'd been staying at home. I would have all my alcohol delivered, DoorDash and whoever would deliver it. And so I didn't have to drive. Oh man, those people probably think I'm dead. And so, I mean, 'cause I was seeing them I was seeing them all the time. And towards the end, when I would actually go in and buy it, I had no shame. I wasn't acting like I was buying it for somebody else. I was buying it for a gift, or I would, try to find somebody different to check me out. I didn't give a fuck. I was like, I got to get this in me. Just let me get going. And so, a lot of people are like, "Oh, I didn't want to have that same person ring me up." I'm like, who cares? You weren't foregoing enough if you ever actually gave a shit. So yeah, whatever. No. So So that's how I had been up until that point. Like, I was not leaving. And so we went out of town, and that night we were supposed to go to dinner with some people. And I'd been at the pool drinking all day. And we went upstairs to get in the shower. And of course, I could not wait on my husband to take a 5-minute shower. I had to take my ass back down to the bar. And he finds me in the bar. And all I remember is him. I mean, I can remember being in there, and then I remember waking up the next day. And so what transpired, I was told, was that he was speaking to a potential client,
No.
that he had just met, and potential was the word. And so apparently the guy wouldn't shut up, and I was ready to go. And I didn't like him talking. And let me tell y'all something. I was a super, super, super sweet drunk. I was never a mean person up until the very, very end. And this, I guess, was the very end, because we had this conversation the other day. He was like, Daph, you never were like, my daughter, she'll beat your ass in a heartbeat if you look at her the wrong way. Like, that's not me. Like, that's just not who I was, not that person. And it could have been a whole lot worse. And I think what I did was humiliating, but like I said, it wasn't as bad as it could have been. But the man wouldn't shut the fuck up. And so apparently I was ready for him to stop talking. And so, you know how, like, when someone's, you talk with your hands, not like I'm talking with my hands right now, but like when you're like trying to tell someone shut up, and you kind of like close your hand with your thumb against your forefinger. That's, yes.
Yes.
That's what I did. And I did not do it to my husband. I did it to that man. And
Nice.
from what I was told, the man said, well, it looks like we're done here, that you need to leave. And so my husband says, then I was a little too drunk to go to dinner. He had to carry me to the elevator, to the elevator up to the room. We missed dinner. The morning I woke up, he says, how do you feel? And you know what? If someone asks you that when you wake up, you better not answer that, because that's like a loaded question. And he's like, well, how do you feel? And I'm like, I look around the room. I'm like, I don't know how to answer this. And I was like, I don't even remember. Honestly, I can't remember. And he was like, well, you should feel like shit. And I was like, yeah, okay, I probably do. And so he was like, well, there's your hot dog. Or no, he said, are you hungry? And I'm like, I don't know, am I? And he was like, well, there's your hot dog. And I said, a hot dog? And he said, yeah, you made me walk 3 blocks to get it last night. Because we couldn't go to dinner. He said, then when I walked back, you were passed out. And I was like,
Right.
Okay. Well, he lets me know about the night prior, and that we're leaving and coming home 2 days early, that he's not staying. And that right there, when he told me that I had embarrassed him, that was the very first time that I had embarrassed him to that degree. Acting like a dumbass and a fool, acting crazy was one thing. This right here was a business thing, and I showed my ass, and I felt like the biggest piece of shit. So I'm like, okay, this is a turning point for me. So he gets in the shower. Well, I think it was about to be a turning point. When he gets in the shower, I haul ass downstairs, and I get 2 Bloody Marys, and I get them to, like, two double shots in them, because I'm like, this is going to be a long ass ride home back to Houston. And so I got to, like, get chilled out for this ride. And so, y'all, that was on a Wednesday. We drove home on that Thursday. I cannot honestly remember if I drank that night. I just can't really recall. But that Thursday I woke up, and that night, actually, I found an AA meeting, and it was a women's meeting, and I went to it the next morning, and the women, I walked in, and I was like, I don't belong here. I used to live in a house that you had to go through a guard shack and go over a bridge to. I didn't live under that bridge. I am not one of these people. I have this, I have that, I have this, I'm still married, blah, 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 blah. No, it didn't fucking matter. We were the same. And I did not know that until I walked in that room, and I started looking at these women, and I was like, this lady looks like she could be in a magazine, yet she doesn't even have her children. Like, this lady looks like my grandmother, and, she's had 4 DUIs. Like, it's like, wow, we really have a lot in common. Anyway, I cried and cried and cried and cried, and told my sob story, and was like, I gotta do this. Well, okay, they all gave me their phone numbers, and anybody listen to this, if people give you their phone numbers, they don't do it because they have to. They do it because they want to. And
Right. Absolutely.
I didn't believe that. I'm like, these crazy ass people don't want to talk to my ass. Well, let me tell you, they started blowing me up, and I was not answering them because when I left there, and we would wake up, I'm not going to drink today. I'm not going to do this. I'm not. We really mean that. I really meant when I say I will be back tomorrow and see you ladies at this other meeting that y'all have invited me to. Y'all, I left that meeting with my little coin, and I was so excited. And then the more I looked at it, I'm like, this is a fucking doubloon. What am I going to do with this tacky ass thing? Like this, I don't think so. And I went straight to the liquor store and couldn't do it. Next day, drink all day. They're texting me, and I get these, I don't have a program. I'm like, who in the hell keeps calling me? And who are these people texting me? Well, it just so happened to be my mom is driving back into town from Alabama, and she's bringing my wild child because she had just gone to court for her second DUI. And my mom's driving her back out here for us because we had been in Austin. Well, so now I got my mama, I got my husband that I have got to hide this shit from because my husband already knows what went down. My mama doesn't really know. So this is on a, she gets here actually that Thursday after my meeting. I take that back. So y'all, for the next Thursday night, all day Friday, I am a raging lunatic trying to hide this alcohol. And it's nothing but the grace of God. And it was a plan, and I'm glad it happened the way it did. But while she was here, like she told me early on when I couldn't quit drinking, she's like, just don't buy it, Dad. Just don't buy it. No shit.
Yeah,
like, seriously, like, don't fucking buy it. Are you fucking kidding? Like, I didn't think about that. I'm like, Mama, you just don't know. God love her. She's never smoked or done a drug in her life. Like, she does not. You don't know what you don't know. So, anyway.
Right.
I was going crazy, having to deal with my wild thing again about getting in trouble. And I'm like, of course, more excuses. I got to drink. And then my mama's here and I can't drink. So I got to drink more. And I drank all that day. And I feel bad because, like, she's here in town. I can't go do anything with her because I sure as hell can't get behind the wheel. And I can't let her know that. So I'm like, let's just hang out and catch up. And I'm like, what the fuck? And you need me to cut your hair? And that was the worst mistake she could have ever made, was saying yes to that. I fucked that hair up. But I'm like, you knew I was drinking. Why did you let me do your hair? But anyway, yeah, she lived and learned. She'll never let me do that again. But anyway, I never want to do it again. I only want to do it, I guess, because I was drunk. But anyway, so that Saturday, she's headed back to Alabama. And I wake up. I'm trying to hide it. I'm drinking. Yeah, these last few months, I was drinking vodka or either wine out of my coffee cup every morning. And so no one, you saw me from a few feet away, but I'm like a midget. So everybody could look down into my cup if you walk past me. So I kind of like would always, had to prop myself up over in the corner so nobody paid me any attention. So this day in particular, that Saturday, I'm hiding it and I'm getting pissed off because I'm like, God, get the fuck on the road. Like, you've got to go home, woman. Like, I've got to have some relief. And I, hiding it from my husband because I've already embarrassed and humiliated him. And now, and he didn't wear me out on it. He was just like, this is it now. Like, you've got to use this. And I pray that it was a learning experience. I'm like, little did he know what a learning experience it really was. So that day, my mama finally leaves. I had been drinking, hiding shit all morning. Like, I had vodka hidden in one of my guest bedrooms. So I would go in there and it had the handle on it, and I would turn that handle up. And then, I'd hide it and I'd come back out and like, oh yeah, just, take it on shit, whatever. So my mama leaves, my wild child leaves. She, no driver's license anymore, but she gets in her car and she's gone, and because that's what we do. And so now it's just me and my husband. He's in his office working. I'm like, thank God. So all I remember that day, this is the day that I went away. I went to detox. I remember I'd been drinking vodka, and I knew that I had 2 bottles of wine. That's all I remember. I know there was beers. I don't know how many of them because I drank them all until they were gone, and I don't like beer. And I'm sure I ate like some edibles because I was like, I love me some edibles. And so, love. I cannot stand the smell of weed. I smelled it last night at that concert, and I'm like, ugh. I don't like the smell, but I could eat that shit till the cows come home. So anyway, like one time I came back from Colorado and I had a trunk full. I was everybody's drug mule. It's funny, but anyway, so I drank it all. Like, I had nothing left. Like, nothing left. And it was like, I can either use my app and order some more, or hopefully, I just wanted to pass out. You know, you just get to that point. It's right. I just want to fucking pass out. Well, I couldn't,
Right.
and I couldn't order anything because he would see that doorbell ring and it'd be done. So I don't know what happened. I remember going in the bathroom and I just looked in the mirror at myself and I just started crying. Like, I didn't even recognize the person that I was looking at. It's like I see this shell. Like, I see my eyes. I don't even recognize what I'm looking at, and it just broke my heart. And I don't know if that rest of this day is kind of like a brownout, and then it was pretty much a brownout till it was a blackout. And I recall going into my husband's office. I don't know how much time had passed, but I know I had enough in me that I should have. A normal person might have been dead. You know, a normal person, that
Right.
is. Like, my husband gets drunk if he, like, eats beer nuts. Like, that's the kind of person that I'm married to. Like, no shit. Like, seriously. Like, really. Like, one beer, yeah, whatever. Anyway, so I remember telling him I just couldn't do it anymore. Like, I was done. And I didn't want to live. I do remember telling him I did not want to live anymore because I couldn't live this way. I didn't know who I was. I didn't like who I was. I have absolutely, my only problems in my life at that time was my drinking. I have a great life, and I don't say that to brag. I mean, like, I didn't have an excuse. Like, I have every excuse to live for, not one excuse to drink over. But yet, here I am. And so I remember him holding me in his lap and his, you know, because I'm like a midget, so I'm like a little kid. I remember that in his lap. You snorted. And so
I did.
I do it too. And so that means it was really funny. I like that. So
It was.
It was. So I remember sitting in his lap. The next thing I remember is him picking me up off the floor in my bedroom, putting on my clothes, because apparently I had passed out in a t-shirt. And I guess I was still feeling sexy from the gym. I don't know, from a DUI. And so the next thing I know, I'm in the car and I'm drinking a nasty ass bottle of Sutter Home Chardonnay. And I only know that's what it was because he told me. And I know that shit's nasty because I would never drink it. But he told me that I made him stop to get me some. And I said that I needed it before I went to detox. So what had happened in the hours I was passed out was he called around. He said it took him about 4 hours to find me a detox center. And they had an opening at 8:30 that night, and it was about 45 minutes away. And he drove me there, not knowing what was going to happen. But he said I told him, and I did not know this until I got out of treatment. Actually, that I told him that if I had known how to use his gun, that I would not be sitting here right now. And I told him that on the way to the detox center. So apparently it got really bad, and he gets really upset when he talks about that. So I don't know if that's just kind of like I don't ask much more than that, because it bothers me to know that that's the point that I had gotten to, and that I was blacked out, that I don't even recall saying that. And I was a blackout drinker for about the last 10 years, which terrifies the shit out of me. But anyway, so I'm supposed to be there for like 2 or 3 days to sober up. And while I'm there, I'm like, ooh, I can drink again like a normal person when I get out of here. And because, like, I seriously, y'all, for like a brief moment when I came to, that's what I kind of thought. And I was like, I'm going to stop and get some alcohol on the way home. And then a few days later, I come to find out I was hallucinating so bad, I had to stay for 6 days. And hey, hallucination or not, something happened. And I decided that I was going to go away to their 90-day treatment facility while I was there. So it was a door-to-door process. They called my husband, told him, and my husband said there ain't no way in hell she would agree to that. And he couldn't believe it was my idea, and it was. And like any good alcoholic, I went and checked in on Facebook at the treatment center, and I was like, when I got out, I was like, what in the actual fuck have I just done? Like, now these people know these people are waiting on me to fail. Like, everybody is going to be waiting on me to fail, because ain't nobody in their right mind going to put $1 on me staying sober. So and I don't know if that was some motivation behind it, other than not wanting to blow my head off or disappoint my husband. or kill somebody or to prove all these motherfuckers wrong. But here I am today at 4 years. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
And you're that's a large nutshell, but that was no. But see, well, so here's what's funny, and I had mentioned this to Mike. I'm like, because I watched your Instagram live that you did with you and your husband on the golf course, and you did that. Like in I don't know, whatever it was, 9 or 10 minutes or whatever it was, so I got the gist of it. But I mean, so here's the thing. I mean, going back through all of that stuff is wonderful because there's a lot of things that, probably the main thing that we were trying to accomplish with all this is to get, exactly what you just did. You gave real stories and real feelings and just a real person that went through the shit. And on top of that, I've heard, and I think Mike and I were talking about this a little bit too, that, we don't see, although we got a lot of female friends, there's more of the guy version of all these stories out there. You just told, I mean, Mike, don't you think, basically told a lot of our stories of what you just
absolutely.
ran through. Yeah,
Right.
I mean,
it doesn't discriminate. Female, male,
no, and it
black, white, whatever.
doesn't matter that you're some 4'11" midget in Texas and Alabama,
Thank you.
and then you got Mike and you got me, and I mean, through that whole thing, I'm sitting here, I'm shaking my head, I'm like, yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But the and the thing of it is that you're real with what you talk about, and that's why it said that I think that you got a lot to offer to not only to the sober community in general, but to women too. And so many people are afraid that everything you just talked about, afraid that people are looking at you to fail and I can't do this and I'm trying to please and I'm trying all these different things. So stories like this are cool. Plus, I mean, on top of it, you're a hell of a lot of fun. We should play a game on this one and have some prize where people can count how many y'alls were in that story.
Oh, I'm not through yet, y'all.
No, I know, but yeah. So the one thing too. So when you went in, where was the park bench? Was that in the?
Yes, that's so funny. At 4 o'clock this morning, I was thinking about that story. I was like, I gotta tell them about that park bench. No, so we were in treatment, and they would take. It's called. It's in Wimberley, which is a tiny little town about 45 minutes, well, maybe 30 minutes outside of Austin. It's in the hill country where all the vineyards are. I'm like, why the fuck would y'all put a treatment center in the middle of vineyards? And when we would get on the druggy buggy and go to meetings, I'm like, if I ever am missing, y'all are gonna find me in one of these vineyards passed out. But it was really torture. But no, so we would go to these meetings, and one of the meetings was in in Austin, and on the bench outside, like where you smoke, someone had hand carved "Life sucks, better sober," and I don't remember a lot out of treatment and a lot. I mean, I do, but I don't. But that one thing stuck out to me. I'm like, and that was one of my first meetings that I went to, and I was like, life sucks, better sober. And so that's where that came from. And I texted you that picture or sent it to you the other day when I went back there. They thought it was a great phrase because they've redone all the benches, and now it's like, I don't know how etched in it or carved or painted, maybe painted and then shellacked over with the big AA sign above it, and it reads "Life sucks, better sober," and that's where it came from.
Well, and that was kind of funny because you had whatever you said, send these comments back and forth on Instagram when that came up, and that's why I said, I'm like, that. And I told you, I'm like, that would make a great T-shirt. So, and honestly, that's one of the ones that there's been quite a few people now that have bought that T-shirt. And I mean, a lot of conversation. Every time somebody posts, we get somebody who bought it and they post it. People are like, that's awesome. And I always give you credit for it because I've never heard that before. But
yeah. Hey, maybe I actually was still drunk and I wrote it on there. Well, I'm gonna take it as mine. I wrote it there. I carved it. I just don't remember. I told you I have a bad memory.
No, that's okay. If you actually did that, if somebody saw you do that, that makes even a better story. Yeah, so, a couple of things here real quick, and we're at like an hour 7 right now, which is cool. Okay, so we got a couple of different options here. So what I would like to, because we got to the point now where you got sober, and once again, congratulations, because your 4-year anniversary was July, right?
Yes, 29th.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
Obviously on 4 years.
Thank you.
I think what would be fun, is to, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike. It'd be fun to hear from this point forward, from what she's done. So maybe we can have you on again.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. I put everything into this like I did my drinking, all or nothing. Just the way I do it, and it's my life today. When COVID hit, that's when I was like, okay, I got to learn more about this disease. So that's when I went to school or online and became a recovery coach, and then I got my relapse prevention and sober companion and oh God, sober transport. I wanted to do all of these things just to help somebody because if I could help one person not end up where I have been, just one person by sharing all of my shit, it's worth it, And today, like I did it because I was like, ooh, they make great money, and I could do this and that and other. But no, at the end of the day, I want to give back what was freely given to me for free.
Right.
So I will talk till the cows come home and help anybody that I can. And my husband's like, I paid all this money for school and blah blah blah. You ain't making no money. I'm like, I know, but I just want to help, but that's just who I am, and that's where I'm at today.
Well, and that's the thing, and Mike and I were talking about that too, because I know that and you've heard his story, you've heard my story if you've listened to those episodes, and I came in, it sounds kind of like you did, where I'm like, man, I don't know if I want to do this,
Right.
Whereas Mike came in where he had been, and he hasn't been shy about that, right, Mike? I mean, you've been through this before,
Oh yeah, definitely wasn't my first rodeo.
But so he and I meet up and all these different things, and then this comes into play. But all that sort of stuff is that's a hugely important thing. Is that who knows if all this rambling that we do and that all this story that you just told us, if it helps even one person, So
one.
And what seriously though, I've enjoyed the hell out of myself. It's been it's kind of funny, Mike and I joke. Well, I joke about it all the time that I talk too much, and he just sits back half the time and hear him laugh.
Yeah, right. We know he's still there because we hear a little chuckle.
Oh, I know, yeah. But yeah. So I'm sure he sits back half the time and relaxes, and this is nice, man. We get to sit back and hear your story, and just so you know too, and. Obviously, I promoted this. We promoted this coming up into this week. I'm going to do the same thing. The episode, just so you know, will be up tomorrow morning. I would like that too. I think we have somebody scheduled for next week, but let's take a look at the next few weeks. And because honestly, and I think Mike's along the same lines. I'd like to hear more from you, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Well,
I want to hear. I want to hear how you got sober and why you stay sober and how you stay sober and all that good stuff, because that's the important stuff.
Right.
Yeah,
absolutely. And obviously Bill knows I can talk. And hey, I'll tell you something else. If y'all ever get really desperate and need some dates filled in, we can get my husband on here and get his perspective on the thing, because we actually have got some videos for my YouTube channel that I say we're working on. We've got plans for them. We just hadn't set our asses down long enough to do them yet. But a lot of people ask about him and want to know, like, what's he think about this? What's he think about that? How was he here and how was there? Hey, his memory is a hell of a lot better than mine. He probably tell you my story better than I can. So there, if y'all ever get desperate enough and need something else, I'll be more than happy to make his ass sit down. And it's neat because he hears me so much. I love hearing him say things. Like, he'll say something, I'm like, that's in the big book. How in the hell did you just know that? He's like, Dad, I do listen to you, and it's so funny the things that he'll say. And I'm like, and we watch Mom. Have y'all watched Mom?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, like when they clap after the shares, he's like, that fucking drives me crazy. You don't clap. Why do people? And it's just so funny. And he just learns, and it's it is a family disease, and at the same time, you need that support with that family to recover. And so I would be more than happy to help you guys out anytime. And I'm so grateful that y'all are here doing what you're doing. And I'm elated to call you my friends.
Cool.
Well, we appreciate that. We obviously feel the same. So yeah, I mean, you and I will touch base on that. We'll figure out another time, and then like Mike said, yeah, this. So we've gotten through all the shit that we all go through. So now what comes next is what we obviously want to hear, because that's really what, like Mike said, that's the important stuff. We all have we all have your story, we all have my story and Mike's story, but so then what do we do for the next 4 years or 10 years or 12 years? So so cool.
I love it. Right, yeah. So I mean, we all have that war story, but what are you doing today to stay on track? What keeps you going each day? Exactly. I love it. Great idea.
So here's the fun part is that everyone who listened to all this for now an hour and 13 minutes, y'all gonna have to come back.
Right.
Here.
What's that, Mike?
I said, y'all come back now. You hear?
Yeah, that's there we go. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. Well, Daphne, honestly, thank you so much, for taking the time out of your day to join up with us. And I mean, we'll figure it out for everyone out there over the next few weeks to see when, because I know that there's a couple of open dates that we still have open in the next probably 30 days, and it'd be fun to bring you on sooner than later to get the rest of that. But
absolutely, I'd love
so cool.
Okay, so
and if you've listened to any other episodes, I always hit Mike with this. So Mike, anything on your mind? Anything else you want to talk to our esteemed guest about?
Nope, not a damn thing.
Well,
and that's always his answer. Yep. So, and you know how he closes this out. So now it's time, Daphne, for you and I to sit back, and Mike can close us out.
Sounds great. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Daphne, for joining us today. Thank you, everyone, for listening to another episode of Sober Not Mature. As always, be kind to each other. Do something good for somebody else this week. And as always, please, fuck off.
All right, brother. Once again, Daphne, thank you very much, and I love you, brother.
Love you too.
Thank
Everybody
you,
be good. Bye.
All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.
As always, thank you for listening to another episode of Sober Not Mature. To access all of our content and interact with us, please visit our website, SoberNotMature.com. Thank you again for listening, and we will talk to you soon.